Hey everyone, it's Kong with another episode of Should You Summon. As always, I'm going to be presenting high-level overviews to help you decide whether this banner is worth your hard-earned vouchers and crystals. This month's banner features Virelia and Seraphina, running from August 22nd to September 18th. As usual, any SSR you pull has a 40% chance to be a featured unit, with the remaining 20% chance reserved for any random off-banner in the regular summoning pool. I will just quickly mention here that we're getting the new unique equipment for Hoffman this week, as well as the center casting skills for Lance, Liana, Michelle, and Werner. The main meta casting of interest is Liana's, which increases her Act Again skill range by 1, and gives a couple extra boosts or buffs to whoever she casts Act Again on. The rest of these skills you can see, as always, on Concord, aka This Old Neon's Discord server. The link is in the description to all of my videos, including this one. Let's just jump right in and get started with Virelia. Virelia is a versatile AoE and single-target mage with good range, who will be useful in a variety of PvE and PvP content. Her main gimmick is that she can slowly build up power, kind of like Girl in the Shell's upgrades, but a bit more focused. After acting, if she didn't attack, she can choose an upgrade, then gets a 2-move Act Again. This is built right into her talent, so she doesn't need to worry about wasting a skill slot on a passive. One upgrade makes the next skill cast twice consecutively, but with -1 range. The second burst of the skill does half damage, but that's still 1.5 times more damage than normal. Another upgrade increases skill range by 2, but skills can then only be cast in straight lines, like dwarves. The last upgrade speeds up the cooldown of the skill you cast by 3. This refresh is reduced for each upgrade you have active, so you can have multiple upgrades at a time, as long as you manage to stack them all up without casting a skill, because when you cast a skill, that clears your current upgrades. Her unique 1-cost skill is a revive that gives her a random upgrade when you trigger it. Her unique 2-cost skill is a single target attack that gets a damage boost for each active upgrade, and reduces cooldown triggers after casting, so that includes her talent Act Again. Her 3-cost skill is a debuffing AoE that gives her a random upgrade if it gets a kill. It also passively causes her to deal fixed damage to every target of her skills, which can't be immunized against if they're below 20% HP. That'd be great for finishing off any 1 HP revive characters if there are any of those still kicking around. She also has Heaven's Sanction, Earthquake, Dark Reaper, Lightning Bolt, and Windblade, giving her a full slate of single-target and AoE skills to suit pretty much any situation. She's a member of Legion of Glory, buffed by Ledin, Elwyn, Grenier, and the upcoming Bright Summoner, Yellis Legends, buffed by Landius, Sigma, and the upcoming Enya, and Princess Alliance, buffed by Luna, Shelfaniel, and Christiane. For bonds, she doesn't unlock anyone else's bonds at the moment, and for her own bonds, she needs Nemia for her defensive bond and Prisha for her attack bond. Fortunately, Prisha will be coming back on a Destiny banner later this month. For content, in PvE, she's on faction for Leviar, Phoenix, and Scylla in the Eternal Temple, and will be OP against all of them, and for Hugin and Munin and Nidhogg in Ancient Beckoning. I haven't seen her used in meta runs of those fights, but like any versatile long-range mage, she will also be great for challenges and Ragnarok of the Realms whenever you need to frig bomb something. On the PvP side, she is definitely going to see some play in the Apex Arena meta. She's not the most rush-friendly AoE blaster because she requires some time to set up, and doesn't innately have a lot of mobility. But she will be right at home in a typical Apex push box where she can hang out with the tank until she's ready to AoE something twice in a row. For her build, you want to build her with as much int as possible. Breeze and Magic will probably be her best enchants for PvP. Some people might argue for Clock, but if your opponent is still in good enough shape for you to need to have clocked your multiple AoEs and then use them again, something's probably not going well. Clock will definitely be good for PvE though. High int weapons like Red Moon and Nightbloom, any mage armor, the only offense-focused mage helm, that is Star Crown, and then your choice of a plus 8% int accessory and you're good to go. Okay, let's move on to Serafina. Serafina's main gimmick is her plethora of fixed damage debuffs. Her talent gives her up to plus 25% attack and crit rate, She can move through enemy units, and doing so costs her no mobility. Each unit she moves through gets a stack of poison that makes debuffs last longer and increases their chance to receive critical hits. Kind of annoying. The thing is, if the same unit gets a second stack of poison, it upgrades to a somewhat more deadly effect. If you end turn with 4 or more debuffs, you die. At least in PvP. In PvE, this is replaced with a buttload of fixed damage instead. These stacks last for 2 turns and can't be immunized or dispelled. Her unique 1-cost skill passively lets her move again after attacking, which, you guessed it, lets her run around through enemies applying more stacks. When used actively, you can choose a single enemy to poison, then move 3 more spaces and act again. Her unique 2-cost skill is a line AoE. Go ahead and guess what it does, I'll give you a second. If you said it applies a poison stack, you are obviously correct. It also applies another random debuff, and another debuff if it crits. Finally, her 3-cost skill passively causes fixed damage to all enemies in a ring around her target when she attacks. If the attack in question is her 3C skill, that fixed damage is doubled. When used actively, this is a single target ranged attack that stuns before battle if the target is poisoned. And with all her many ways of applying poison, it seems unlikely that the target won't be poisoned. She's a member of Empire's Honor, buffed by Bernhardt, Leon, Lance, and Rosenseal, Strategic Masters, buffed by Ultimuller, Lanford, and Grenshiel, and Meteor Strike, buffed by Zerida and Epsilon. For bonds, she doesn't unlock anyone else's bonds at the moment. For her own bonds, she needs Patricia for her defensive bond and Andriole for her attack bond. For content, in PvE, she's on faction for Phoenix, Scylla, and Valkyrie in the Eternal Temple, and Jormungandr and Sleipnir in Ancient Beckoning, where she hasn't been seen in any meta leaderboarding teams. Bosses are usually immune to fixed damage, usually. That said, she could be quite useful for running around through normal enemies, and certain Timeless Trials and Covenant battles, and Bastion tower defense battles that benefit from fixed damage. In PvP, I have not seen a big uptake in meta boxes. She's certainly not an over-tuned killing machine, the likes of Emir, for example, but make no mistake, especially in Global, there are always going to be people who build a niche hero to their maximum potential, and those people are going to make her annoying to deal with. For her build doesn't really matter, because the only thing you're going to be using her for is ogling her in the hero menu. But you can give her a Stinger for single target damage or Demon Slayer for extra AoE debuff toxicity like the good old Leonhardt days. Whatever heavy armor, a Fury of Tyr since she does have an Act Again move, and either a mobility boosting accessory like wings or apex boots, or a high attack accessory that's effective against whatever you're trying to kill. Given that she does have an Act Again before battle and after battle, and she can move around through enemies without consuming mobility, I think leaning towards the mobility side here is a good idea. Alright, let's move along to the notes for noobs. Virelia is a meta Apex Arena unit good for most kinds of boxes for now. She's also got great crossover appeal into PvE, where she's basically a better Lana. I'm not going to go so far as to say she's a must summon, as in, it's not going to screw you over completely if you miss her. But I will say she's very good and well-rounded, and you can't go wrong if you do summon her. I recommend it. Serafina is more of a gimmick or a niche unit. That means she'll be less generally appealing, not as easy to just build and throw at any situation. But it also means the people who like surprising their opponents with uncommon units might be piqued. You may also find an aesthetic reason to summon for her.
Huge! Tracks of land!
Okay, so finally, just my usual reminder about upcoming banners. The remainder of this month features a few important banners, most notably a general wish list up to and including Isolde and Jace. There's also a rerun of Eshin alongside Christiane on a raid up. The Destiny banners later in the month are Prisha, aka Virelia's Bond Unlocker, Sissy White and Mary Endel, Ledden, Rachel, and Ultimuller, and Licorice, Mariel, and Tsubame. Next month's major update features the second LLR unit being introduced to the game. Much like Imelda's Sovereign of the Abyss, the next LLR is a revisitation of a beloved SR unit, Chris. And much like Sovereign of the Abyss, she's bananas. I'll discuss her in detail in the next episode. Anyway, that's going to be it for this one. I am going to try to get one copy of Virelia, and if I miss Serafina here, I'll be satisfied with picking her up later on when she reruns. No sense in trying to break the bank on a launch banner with a 40% rate, just to try to get both characters when one of them I don't plan to use. That said, if I get Serafina first, I think I will keep trying to get Virelia, but if I go too deep, I think I'll probably stop, because there are some banners in the future that I'm going to want to save up for, and I have been trending low on hard-earned vouchers and crystals for the past few months. How about you? Let us know what your summoning plans are in the comments or on the Discord. Thank you so much for watching, and extra special thanks to our Langrisser tier channel members Levitt, Jerome Meyer, Kate Soon, and Jorge Luis. I wish you all the best of luck, and I will catch you in the next Should You Summon.